He's accused of starting multiple fires in Colorado's mountains. His neighbors say he has a 4-year history of doing it, and so far he's avoided any legal consequences.
And now they wonder if he's received preferential treatment because his wife is a DA. Denver 7 Chief Investigator Tony KOVALESKI reports now there appears to be a new road to accountability.
I think he knows very well what he's doing.
You can see here, this fire's piled up.
Our main concern is we just don't feel safe here.
To understand their fears and their frustration,
it's not just one mistake, it's a string of mistakes.
We must first understand how we got here.
When I saw the column of smoke, I didn't think there was any chance that the firefighters would save the cabin.
He's talking about this fire back in 2016. Homes evacuated. The video and the pictures show the flames and the continuing scars. Damage that lingers 4 years later. A 10-acre fire that could have been much worse.
He's lit fires on repeated occasions that have endangered life and property.
I could not believe my eyes as far as it wasn't one, it wasn't two, how many fires there were.
Nobody seems to be in the vicinity.
And this is video from last month. A dozen slash piles set on fire, some up against fully grown trees. The fire started and abandoned. Nobody on the property.
Anybody here?
Help me understand how you can start a fire in this forest and walk away from it.
I can't understand.
Laurie and Tim Pope are neighbors of the accused fire starter.
This house is something that we've wanted to do since we got married, build a house together. It means everything to us, the view and the peacefulness.
This is your place.
Yes, sir. So we have a lot of really good memories here, and it's very dear to our family.
DOMINIC MEIER's family cabin is right next door to where the fire started. Both families point to this sign. It's on the gate to enter their community, a sign that they say explains the growing tensions.
What's that sign say to you?
It says that people feel like their voices aren't being heard, because if you've got to write a sign on a gate to send a message to somebody, that's kind of sort of a desperate act.
Here's the man, the neighbor they want held accountable. His name is Christopher MEIER. Court records show he's been accused of multiple fires, including this case from last year.
Last summer, when I was driving up the street, we noticed that Christopher had 4 fires, and it was a red flag warning day.
Neighbors outright accuse MEIER of arson, and court records show he's been charged with arson, but to date he has never been convicted of arson. Following the fires last summer, those same neighbors wanted accountability from the courts. They sent letters to the judge, including, "We fear for our lives and that of our property because this individual has been allowed to repeatedly commit the same acts of arson with no punishment." Another letter read, "The only thing that will modify his behavior is time in jail."
If I had done what Christopher has done, do you think that I'd be sitting here? I'd be sitting in a cell. And that's where he needs to be.
But that's not what happened. Earlier this year, court records show that arson charge was dropped down to 2 simple county ordinance violations and a $1,500 fine.
There's something about Christopher. He knows he can do this, and nothing's going to happen to him.
So why has next to nothing happened? Neighbors wonder if his marriage has brought preferential treatment from the courts. Christopher MEIER's wife is Denver District Attorney and former state legislator Beth McCann.
When you found out he's married to the DA of Denver, what did that say to you?
We're puzzled at why something hasn't happened, why he hasn't been held accountable.
And then you see that his wife is the Denver DA, and in a powerful political position, it does bring questions.
Some of those questions were answered. Days after the initial Denver 7 Investigates story, the district attorney filed 12 felony arson charges against Christopher MEIER, accusing him of starting a dozen fires on his property and walking away. The frustration of the neighbors was, why didn't something happen significant before this? What's the answer?
I really don't know.
He's the DA for Grand County. Neighbors concluded because generally nothing happened that he had some special influence. How do you answer that concern?
It's definitely not true. I understand the cynicism that underlies that. I really do.
Answering concerns from neighbors about how MEIER has put together a long history of avoiding serious legal accountability.
I am 100% confident that The identity of Mr. Linsmeyer's spouse has never played a role in the past and will not play a role now.
So neighbors are now setting boundaries and watching closely, clearly sending a strong message to the man they call a fire starter.
What I would like to say is, Christopher, we really resent that you've made it so hard to live here.
And ultimately now waiting for the justice system to send the strongest message.
I'm glad the charges were filed, but I won't be satisfied until he's actually convicted.
I don't know if maybe his wife didn't even know what he was doing. I have no idea. She does now. She does now.
Mr. Linsmeyer's attorney declined our request for an interview. We made the same offer to his wife, Denver's district attorney. We were told she cannot comment at this time. I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski.